Hello, welcome to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and Southern Hills Park, I believe is what I'm calling this. Basically, I'm going to just do a little series where I'm going to build a park in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which is a game from 2004 originally, and I'm going to play it because, well, I can. So there is a sequel coming to this game, kind of sequel. It's called Planet Coaster. It's developed by the same people but published by different people. Well, it's published by the people that developed this game, but Atari published this game, and that's confusing, but yeah. There's also Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which Atari's doing, which is awful, or doesn't look great so far, I should say. But anyway, I'm going to play this game. It's going to be a bit of fun. I'm just going to build a park, and the first couple of episodes will be setting up a scenario, which is, setting objectives and creating like the landscape and the area. And then after that, we'll probably go into some more real-time stuff where I'm actually building it, but for now we're going to time-lapse this, because otherwise this series would go on far too long, considering it took me about half an hour to sort out the terrain in this, and you're looking at it about 6 times speed. So obviously I've built some hills up. This park is called Southern Hills, which is based around the, it's kind of inspired from... The landscape is kind of inspired from the South Downs in the UK, which are some hills in the south of the UK, hence Southern Hills Park. That's the kind of gist. So there's some big hills, there's a nice lake there, because that's always fun. Obviously at the moment I'm just actually painting the terrain to make it look slightly less awful. And at some point, probably in the next episode, I'll put trees on things, because I completely forgot about that when I recorded this. But anyway, I do want to address that I'm not playing Planet Coaster yet. I haven't bought it because I don't like the idea of spending more money to get a game in early access. It's one of those weird things. You can pre-order the game for about £20, but if you want to get access to the alpha, you have to pay an extra £30, and that just doesn't sit well with me because I don't want to spend more money on an unfinished game. So I'm going to wait until the game is done and then buy it, and then I'll play it. Just wanted to sort of clear that up. I really do look forward to seeing Planet Coaster, because it's a huge improvement over this. But either way, this is what we're playing for now. And as I kind of forgot to talk about what I'm doing, so I'm building a road that comes into the park, and as you can see, there's the junction off the road into the park. Unfortunately, it's all kind of square, but that's a limitation of the game. It's fine. And as you can see, we've got this nice car park starting to be planned out here, with some car parking spaces will be around, including some coach parking. There are vehicles you can place down in the game, so that they're going to end up in this car park and along that road, so that it looks like there's people visiting the park and all of that. So this is all like car park, and then we'll build the entrance building, which those sort of 3 tiles on the very end are just going to be a nice wide pathway that leads you to the entrance. And then we're also going to have a bit of a plaza inside, and that's all going to be pre-built before we start the scenario. And I'm going to try and play this so I have money as a restriction, so I can't build ridiculous roller coasters that go hundreds of meters up in the air without spending a single penny or anything like that. I do want to use money. The only problem I have with that is I have some custom scenery installed, which I may start using for some things, but a lot of the custom scenery is free. That it doesn't cost you anything when you place it down. And that's just an issue, and something we'll just have to deal with, because there's not much I can do about that. But that's fine. That's a decorative thing. I'm not too worried about that. It's not exactly going to help me meet my objectives. That I'm going to set objectives for this park, and that's what I'm going to play to try and do. But I am just going to keep running this series until I fill the park up. But on that note, the park is quite small, as you can kind of tell if you've seen the game before. This is a smaller map size. I reduced it down, and of course I'm setting a lot of the area to be not owned by the park, so that will just be sort of woodland or outskirts. And of course this whole area I can buy later if I want to expand, but this is a way of making sure that I don't just it's putting limitations on myself when I'm playing, so that I have to spend money to expand from the smaller park. And in my view, it just makes it a bit more fun to actually work with money, because sometimes it's, you know, in Sandbox it's just, you're just building and you don't have any restrictions on what you can do, and that can be quite daunting. But with this, it's like, oh, I can't afford to buy a new roller coaster. Okay, what else can I put in instead? How can I manage my park better to make sure I can start, you know, making a profit, things like that. And that for me, again, actually is a huge part of the game that I quite enjoy, but at the same time building stuff is fun too. Now at the moment I'm starting to build an entrance building. This is going to have sort of 4 entrances with ticket booths and turnstiles. The turnstiles are custom scenery and the ticket windows will be custom scenery and stuff like that, but a lot of it is going to be the default stuff from the game, just because it's what I'm used to working with and I kind of am familiar with it. So at the moment it's just sort of all some ideas. Some things are going to change, and that's the thing, you'll see me build things and I'll just completely destroy them and start over, and that's kind of one of the things. If I'm not happy with something, I'm not just going to try and keep adding to it until it looks good. I'll just go, yeah, we'll start again, and that's quite often the easiest way to do it. So that happens a bit later. And annoyingly, when you do the custom, like when you save a building and you can load it in, you can't do that in land you don't own, even if you're in the scenario editor. So because I'm in the scenario editor, I can edit anywhere on the park and I have no restrictions, but I can't paste in custom buildings in land I don't own. It's a bit of a bug in the game, I suppose, but you know, there's workarounds to it. That's just to set the land you want to build it in to be owned, and that's what I did in order to copy that across. And that brick tower I'm not really happy with, and I do get rid of. I think it doesn't stay there, so this will all get destroyed in a minute, but it was a nice idea. I just couldn't really add enough detail to it to make it look nice, and I would have liked to put like a bell or something in the top, but I couldn't find anything like that. I think I did find something to go up there in the end. I think it was a chess piece, which is a bit weird to be fair, but it was something. So that's all going to get destroyed and replaced in a little while. But as you can see, I'm still trying to find something to put in the top, and I haven't quite decided to get rid of it quite yet. But I will do. I'm just waiting for that to happen now, to be fair. Anyway, I'm going through, here's some custom scenery crystals. They don't end up in there anywhere. I just spent ages looking at different ones, trying to pick something that could fit in the top there. It was all kind of pointless because I just got rid of the whole thing and started over on the end buildings, which is not a problem. Sometimes you just have to give up and move on and try something else if it's not working, and that can actually be a good way to get around it, is just go, this isn't working, I don't like it, get rid of it, start again. And there's nothing against doing that, obviously, unless it's going to cost, you know, if I've just built an entire building, it's going to actually, I'm going to lose money destroying it once I'm actually playing the game. But at the moment, of course, I'm in the scenario editor, so I'm just setting up the park before I start. One of the things I do need to know, I do actually need to put an entrance in the park as far as the game's concerned, because those, what look like entrances, are just pathways with turnstiles on. And I need to place down either the gate, or I might look and see if I can find a custom scenery entrance that is just a sign that I can put in, and that means that actually marks it as when the peeps come into the park, they have to go through that and then go in. Otherwise they just kind of would pop into the middle of the park at random. Or I don't know how that would work. I've never tried having a park that doesn't have an entrance, and I don't know if I really want to. I'm wondering whether peeps just randomly appear in the park or whether it just wouldn't work. Because I know you can put an entrance but not put a peep injection point, and that works fine. The peeps just spawn in at the entrance, but I don't know what happens if you have it the other way around. Although I haven't put the peep injection point in either, so I don't know what's going to happen. But obviously I'm just building up the details in the middle there to give it an actual look of an entrance, and we get a nice banner, not banner, but billboard across the front, which I'm going to make a custom image for eventually, which you'll notice that's made up of 3 billboards, and I'm going to have to make the image in 3 separate pieces, and then kind of split them up and put them together on there. That's because I don't have a 7x1 billboard that you can use in the game, which is a bit annoying, but we can get around it. I mean, certainly I think I've done stuff before where I've just done 1 column at a time, 2 blocks high, because there's nothing else you can do. And that's fine, because obviously I'm making custom graphics anyway, so I may as well just grab... I can just easily split them up into sections. So obviously I've got this little planting area in the corner there. I'll put some plants on it later. But this is one of the things I'm probably going to spend quite a lot of time on, is landscape and plants in this park. Because I do want it to look quite nice. In that respect, there's not many like things you can put down in that sense in the game, but I'm still gonna like try my best to just add that detail in places. Of course, it's not going to be everywhere. There'll probably be planters around some of the busier sections of the park, like the entrance plaza, and possibly I might have another like food courty type, or well, not food court, but more of a restaurant area. With outside seating, so I'll probably put something around that. I'm still not entirely sure whether I'm going to go with themed areas or not. I think I might have a generic section and then build in themed areas, like it's as if it was a park that's just been expanded. So they started off quite small and then they can build. Well, that's pretty much what's going to happen, to be fair. I'll probably build a generic area and then eventually expand to have themed sections in various places. Obviously, the next episode will still be creating the scenario, and that's also going to be a time lapse. But following that, they're going to go more real time, probably, unless I spend an hour on a building, in which case I'll probably just speed it up and do this again. But for the most part, I think I'm going to go with more real time stuff. It's only because this takes quite a lot of time, and what I'm really doing is just building terrain and placing down fences and things like that. It's a lot of big chunks of stuff just going in random places that I don't find very interesting to look at in real time, so doing stuff like this, I find it more interesting personally when watching something like this. So you get your time-lapse section. So obviously now I'm just fixing up the parkland and making sure we own the entrance plaza, so that we can build there. Otherwise peeps will come into the park and then technically have to leave it to go to the rest of the park, and that gets a bit confusing. I think I have done a park before where I had like two sections of owned land either side, and I had like a path going underground to connect the two, but the gap in the middle just wasn't owned. You could only build over the top of it, but it wasn't technically your land. So yeah, that was interesting. So people had to go under the road. It was weird. Anyway, I've gone very much off topic and my phone just went off there. But I'll come back to that. So I'm just trying to sort out some lighting in the park. Obviously I messed up that billboard placement when I raised the ground up for those little flower boxes out the front. I spent a while trying to find a nice light to light those up, but unfortunately I couldn't find anything quite like what I want, so I'm probably going to have to look at more custom scenery and get some other packs in, but that will happen between this episode and the next one. And the next one will be on, well, these are going to come out every other week on a Friday, and there'll be a different video in between. It won't just be like a 1 week and then nothing and then another. It's just going to be every other week, so you'll see more of this then. But on that note, I'm going to say thank you for watching, because this is coming very close to the end. So if you're enjoying this, subscribe so you can see the rest of this series, and also check out the other videos on this channel. So thank you for watching.